Good evening, parents, guardians, and concerned citizens everywhere. My name is Jeff. I am the program director here at the Loft Cinema. Now, you may think that you are doing a great job teaching your children how to be fine, upstanding, and moral American citizens. But I'm here to tell you, you are wrong. Because have you told your children the shocking truth about Reefer Madness? I think not. Yes, I am talking about that assassin of youth itself, the devil's stinkweed known as marijuana. Now, we all have a family member, a loved one, a guardian, a friend whom we barely tolerate, who has fallen victim to the pernicious influence of marijuana. And we are here tonight to expose the good time Charlies who would dare to say, it's all fun and games. Ah, fun and games. Let's see. Tell that to Billy, the 16-year-old teenager from Poughkeepsie who, after smoking just one half of a marijuana cigarette, attempted to kill his entire high school chess team with a rusty pencil sharpener. He failed, but he could have done it. Or tell it to Mary, the nice 15-year-old girl from Sioux Falls, whose 3 spliff a week habit caused her to fall down the road to ruin as a dancing parking lot attendant. She kept dancing, but the lot was always full. These are young lives destroyed, all for the cheap thrills of marijuana. It is no laughing matter, unless you're watching tonight's film. Join me, won't you? As we watch the classic Reefer Madness. Oh, let's look at this guy. This young man clearly has had way too much reefer. He'll be watching on the sidelines. Follow me. Now, my name is Jeff Yanc. I am the program director here at the Loft Cinema. The beautiful empty Loft Cinema. As you can see, we are currently closed thanks to the coronavirus pandemic, which is actually much less frightening than the epidemic we are about to present this evening, marijuana. So we cannot be stopped, cinematically speaking, here at the Loft Cinema. We are continuing to show films, even though we're closed, so that you can enjoy the cinematic experience of Reefer Madness. So I would like to wish all of you, or warn all of you, a very happy 420. A day of marijuana, munchies, and madness. Reefer Madness, to be exact. So this is the day that you finally have the opportunity to roll yourself a fat doobie in the privacy of your own quarantine quarters, down a bag of Doritos, and enjoy what is perhaps one of the worst films of all time, and therefore one of the funniest films of all time, Reefer Madness. So this is a film that is a camp classic. It's a film that is a great mixture of the boring with the totally hysterical, the surreal with the salacious, and the awful with the even more awful. This is a film made by people who clearly had no idea what drugs actually were, which is why it's fantastic. This is a film in which people who know nothing about drugs continue to shout loudly about them, which might sound somewhat familiar to our landscape today. But this is clearly the very, very greatest anti-dope film of the 1930s, a decade awash in anti-dope films, including Assassin of Youth, The Burning Truth, and She Should Have Said No. It's true. She should have said no. So this movie is highly entertaining. There is a lot of great things about Reefer Madness. I think one of the greatest things about the film you're about to see is that there is a bit of a mystery as to exactly where this film and how this film originated. So as far as we know, this film started life in 1936 as a film called Tell Your Children. And nobody wanted anyone to tell their children anything at that point. So the film flopped, it disappeared. No one thought about it again. Until 1938, when a man known as the king of trashy 1930s exploitation films, Dwayne Esper, either acquired, found, or stole a copy of Tell Your Children and revamped it for audiences, spiced it up. This was his modus operandi. He was known for great films like Maniac and Sex Madness. And what he would do is he would acquire a film, a strange film, and then he would spice it up, which usually meant many scenes of women rolling up and unrolling their stockings and dancing the jitterbug. So he did that with Reefer Madness, spiced it up, retitled it Reefer Madness, and a legend was born. So this movie also is a little sexy. It's a little funny. It's a little racy for 1930s. Hide your children if you don't want them to be shocked by the morals of 1938 filmmaking. This movie was also originally, and it may give you some comfort, that this film was possibly originally produced by a church group who was trying to set America's wayward youth straight. Or it's also been theorized that this film was actually secretly produced by the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, who in the 1930s was ready to launch a campaign of hysterical misinformation and misdirection to teach America that drugs were very, very bad. You take your pick. This feels like it could have been made by either of them or none of them. It barely feels like anyone actually directed this film, but somebody did. So this is an anti-dope propaganda that totally backfires because it makes drug taking look very fun and very sexy. Although some bad things happen, but mostly fun and sexy. So this movie, I believe, is the film that turned an entire generation of jazz musicians on to becoming weed freaks. But I have no proof of that. Let me check my notes. No, I have no proof. So this is the story of innocent high school kids who were seduced into the fun, the horrific dangers of marijuana abuse. And by the way, as an aside, the high school kids you're about to see in this film are literally the oldest high school kids you've ever seen in a film. They make the high school kids in Greece look like preschoolers. Well, in the 1930s, teenagers wore bow ties and tweed jackets, so they were inevitably going to look a little older. So this movie is sanity, murder, suicide, hysterical laughing, and my favorite, very, 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 very fast piano playing. Kids in the 1930s absolutely loved nothing more than a hot ragtime piano party. So the acting in this film is also community theater from hell level. It's pretty amazing. But I do want to point out Dave O'Brien, who's the man who plays Ralph. So Ralph is the man in the film, you will notice, who watches the piano and constantly screams, faster, faster, and he gets more and more eye makeup on as the film goes along, laughing hysterically, screaming faster, faster. He was clearly auditioning for a Looney Tunes cartoon and somehow ended up in Reefer Madness. The film was directed by Louis Gagné, who actually was a real Hollywood director in the 20s and 30s, which makes it very confusing why this film looks like it was directed by an escaped lunatic. But he did it. Also, I just wanted to point out that this film did have an extra life after the 1930s. It was discovered in the 1970s by NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, who started playing this print as a fundraiser to repeal the marijuana laws of the early 1970s. So basically, this film was playing to stoned hippies throughout the 1970s who loved it. And we are going to love it tonight, just like a bunch of stoned hippies. Now, this movie is hilarious, but it is important to tell your children the reality of marijuana abuse. So what I've done tonight is so that you can teach your children all of the hep slang terms for marijuana so that you will be ready to counsel them when they come to you asking, Mom, can I have a big fat bogey? So let's look at this before we start the movie. And let's just go through this real briefly, shall we? One of the most common names for marijuana, Mary Jane. Mary was always being accused of being a pothead in the 30s, so Mary Jane. Giggleweed. It's fun. You'll see a lot of giggling in tonight's film, so it was clearly aptly named. That was a 1930s term. Aunt Mary. So there's Mary being dragged through the mud yet again. Muggles. Now, this is a shocker to Harry Potter fans, but clearly this is an indication that J.K. Rowling was smoking a fat one when she was writing the Harry Potter series. Muggles. The devil's lettuce, which lay people just refer to as kale. Sticky icky, which I think is one of the most fun terms for marijuana. Boobama, sometimes referred to as Boo Boo Mama, and there is no proof yet that this was actually President Barack Obama's nickname in college. Down here at the bottom, we have the pot. Please always refer to it as the pot, not just the pot. The pot. Smoochy Poochie, which I believe is probably the term that Kevin Smith uses to describe his weed. Loco weed, also one of my favorites. Rosemarie, whom I only know as one of the stars of the old Dick Van Dyke Show, but clearly she was a pothead also. Bomba-la-cha-cha, which is probably the most fun slang term for marijuana to say. Chronic, you can ask Dr. Dre about this. I'm not totally sure where that comes from. This is a good one. Righteous Bush. I think you can insert your own joke here. One of the greatest, of course, is Wacky Tobacco, which I think very accurately describes marijuana. And finally, reefer, which you're going to hear used a lot in tonight's film. Reefer. This was a term from the 1930s. Tell your children. Now it is time to begin Reefer Madness. Follow me, won't you? Now, we are going to be watching Reefer Madness here in the empty Loft Cinema on the screen. So you can watch it here with us live, or you can also check out the link that is on the site that you're watching now to watch it on YouTube. I would try to watch it here so you can get the full impact of watching this great classic film as it was meant to be seen on a big theater screen. So let's move around, shall we? Follow me. Yes. Here we are. Find your favorite seat. You got it? Okay. And now, let's watch Reefer Madness. Please chat along so we can decide exactly how to teach America's wayward youth how to kick the habit of Reefer Madness. And keep watching. We'll be doing some things during the film as well. And we'll see you after the movie. Please enjoy. And please tell your children. And keep Domino's on speed dial tonight, won't you? Support a local restaurant. And here we have a startle warning, very common in 1930s anti-drug films. And a 5-minute scrolling text is exactly the way to get audiences in seats. It worked for Star Wars, it works for Reefer Madness. A little-known fact, after Reefer Madness, it became legally mandated for the FDA to judge every drug based on its soul-destroying properties after this film. Also, a little-known fact, the letter J did not exist in the 1930s.
Must be stopped. You and all other school parent groups about the country, and you must stand united on this and stamp out this frightful assassin of our youth. You can do it by bringing about compulsory education on the subject of narcotics in general, but red marijuana in particular. That is the purpose of this meeting, ladies and gentlemen, to lay the foundation for a nationwide campaign by you.
You're going to be seeing this guy a lot in the film, and he's so boring, the audience that he's talking to is completely stoned right now.
Because it is only through enlightenment that this scourge can be wiped out. Out of the traffic in these drugs, a lawlessness that we can scarcely estimate has grown and is now flourishing. It exists in almost every city and hamlet in the country. It might be interesting and important for you to know some of the methods used in bringing these drugs into the country, and the work of the forces of law and order, which are daily combating the traffic, always at the risk of life by their agents. This ceaseless fight against the drug traffic is directed by the Department of Narcotics, Washington. I've received a letter of vital importance from a member of the Narcotics Bureau. I'm going to read this letter to you. My dear Dr. Carroll, the suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. At the outset of this letter, there is one vital fact I would like to submit. There is a powerful agency. I speak of the school parent associations of this country, which can be invaluable in stamping out this scourge. Their help, their eternal vigilance, could be the deciding factor in our fight against it. The weed marijuana is grown in every state in the Union. Recently, in the city of Brooklyn, New York, a field of marijuana was found behind a tenement court. The weed was here being cultivated, regularly stripped and dried and sold in schools and at government army posts in and around New York. The dried leaves and berries are ground up and made into cigarettes by a simple hand machine. The deadly narcotic is thus quickly and easily prepared for its market. The sale of marijuana is even more difficult to detect and halt than the traffic in drugs such as opium, morphine, and heroin. They are hidden in fake jewelry cases, in the heels of shoes, women's shoes especially, because the drugs can be secreted in false heels. Hollowed shaving brushes are another medium. Books with false centers are often used. Watch cases are convenient hiding places. The value of drugs thus seized is enormous. Recently, a huge supply of heroin was taken. It was concealed in an apparently harmless shipment of 35 barrels of olive oil. The deadly drug was burned in the incinerator of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. And more vicious, more deadly.
This is Charlie Sheen's worst nightmare.
Destroying drugs is the menace of marijuana. No doubt many of you do not believe that these things do happen, but they cannot happen to you. You may also believe that the facts have been exaggerated. Let me tell you of something that happened right here in our own city. You probably read about it in the papers. However, I'll give you the real facts behind the case. There was an apartment near one of our high schools. It was run by a woman known as May Coleman.
Hey, come on, May, get up.
What time is it?
Time to get up and give this place a going over. Looks like the Marines had landed.
Oh, that bunch last night was high enough to take over the Marines and the Navy.
You better get on the job. Some of the kids may be up this afternoon.
Oh, Jack, we can get along without dragging those young kids up here.
Oh, why don't you button up your lip? Boys squawking about something. You got more static from the radio. Oh, greetings.
Well, hello, fella. How are you?
Fine, how are you? Come here. Come here. Glad to see you.
Is the name?
She'll be right in. Just sit down and make yourself comfortable.
Hey, what kind of a joint is this, Eddie?
Oh, it's all right, Gwen. See, they probably had a party last night.
Oh.
A couple of your customers, May.
Yeah? Well, they're old enough to know what they're doing. Not like those young kids you bring up here.
All right, all right. Listen, I'm going to blow.
Where are you going?
I got to make some deliveries, and I'll probably drop by Joe's place and bring back a couple of the kids.
Oh, I wish you'd lay off those kids.
Oh, why don't you get over that mother complex?
Oh, by the way, Ralph, I'm sort of getting a little party Saturday afternoon over at my grandmother's. You know, the place with the swimming pool? Like to come?
Thanks, Eddie. Maybe I will.
I'd sure like to have you.
Okay, I'll probably drop over.
So long, Ralph.
See you later. Hey, Ralph. Hi, kid. Fine, Jack, and you? Oh, great. Where you heading? Oh. Hey, how do you like that? That's the one I was telling you about. Very nice.
I don't know why you want to make such a fuss over that Ralph Wiley.
Oh, he's a swell swimmer. He made the freshman team that year he went to college.
Yeah, and that lets him out. My dad knows the family. None of them are any good. Father and mother just got a divorce from Paris.
Yeah?
You know, Ralph comes around pretty much on his own. He's been in a couple of jams.
Well, I only kind of say hello to him. I don't go around with him.
Well, you better not. He's a little too old for us. That's what my dad said.
Oh, Mary. How are you, Bill?
How are you, Ralph?
Oh, hello, Ralph. You know my brother Jimmy, don't you?
How are you?
Swell.
I'd like you to meet a friend of mine, Jack Perry. Mary, Bill.
How do you do?
Glad to know you. We're going over to Joe's place. Why don't you come along?
We have a date to play, a set of doubles.
Oh, you can play anytime. Come on, we'll have some laughs.
Oh, we can't today, Ralph. Some other time.
Can I go along with you?
Sure.
Hey, I'll see you at dinner, sis.
Don't be late, Jimmy.
Hey, he ain't no paper man.
Why don't you know he's that hot finger grinding?
Boy, he really swings out hot with a bunch of jive. You want to do it?
Do
You may note that Hot Fingers Groaning is actually the Lost Marks Brothers. Dope one.
I was expecting us at the apartment a little later. Any new prospect?
Maybe.
Hotbox it. Hotbox it.
Oh, Jimmy, you're wonderful.
You just finding that out?
Why can't we go now?
Good. Hey, kids, we're having a little party up at my girlfriend's apartment. Wouldn't you like to come? Oh, I'd love to. You want to come, don't you, Jimmy?
Oh, sure. Any place with you.
Well, come along. We can all go in my car.
See you later, Joe. Done.
It's sweet of you to help me, Bill.
Well, I'll try anything except domestic science.
Why, Bill, don't you want to learn something about running your own home?
The answer is no. You know, after that session we had yesterday, I went home and told Mother that the trouble with her pot roast gravy was she hadn't added 3 heaping teaspoonfuls of olive oil.
What did she say?
She didn't say anything. She just threw me out of the kitchen.
Well, I don't wonder. Hello, children. Hello, Mother.
Hello, Mrs. Lane.
That was sweet of you, Mother.
Gosh, hot chocolate. Thanks, Mrs. Lane.
I know you can't study on empty stomachs, Now then, enjoy yourself. He will.
She will too, Mrs. Lane. May I?
Oh, thank you, kind sir. You're so very, very kind.
Mary, before we do that math, how about reading some of this? It's swell.
Romeo and Juliet.
Don't you like it?
Uh-huh.
You know, when I study this, I kind of think of you. I just sort of feel as though you're there beside me. Well, listen. It is my soul that calls upon thy name. How silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night, like softest music to attending ears.
Romeo,
My dear,
what o'clock tomorrow shall I sing to thee?
by the hour of 9.
I will not fail. 'Tis 20 years till then.
I'll see you tonight, Mary. Bye, Mrs. Lane.
Goodbye.
So long. Gosh, oh!
Bill!
Oh, okay, all right. Well, bye. Bye.
Hey, Daddy!
Oh, Julie. Hey.
Hey, Dad, you got anything for me?
Well, they certainly.
Don't bother your father every night.
Have you?
There you are.
What made you so late, Bill? I was getting worried.
Well, I had to study, Ma.
He was not. I saw him out walking with his girl. Bill's got a girl. Got a girlfriend.
Ma, make him cut it out.
Junior,
Well, Bill has got a girl.
quiet. And put that candy away till after dinner. Henry, you shouldn't have given it to him.
Well, he has got a girlfriend and her name is Mary.
Yeah, I'll shut you up.
How old are the parents of this fellow?
Bill, Junior, put that carrot
Grandpa, Pa, and Grandma, Ma?
They're all right there, John.
Mary's little Ann. Mary's little Ann. I didn't mean Bill Anderson, did you?
Oh, well, what I'm burned up about is that you didn't say Bill had a swell girl.
Gee, it must be love. She'd have to be swell for you to like her.
Uh-huh. Sounds like you want something. Come on, what is it?
Well, it's my model airplane. It won't work. Gosh, Bill, you could fix it. You can fix anything.
Okay, I'll fix it.
You can't read me funny things, will you?
Parents in the 30s did not start having children until their
Mary told me to
mid-60s.
wait and tell her she had to go home. Her mother wanted her to go to the dressmaker with her.
Oh, thanks, Jimmy. You must be getting grown up. See, Mary let you have the car.
Yeah. I take you any place?
Well, I wasn't going any place in particular.
Well then, how about driving over to the show place with me? I'll buy you a soda.
I never drink that stuff.
Well, gee, I'll buy you something else.
Okay, you're on the hook for one root beer.
Well. Hi, Bill. Hi, Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy.
Hello, Jimmy. Hello, Bill. Come on, slide in.
Hello, Lance.
Hello, Ralph. How are you? Well, Ralph, how have you been, Ralph? 2 sodas. No, I mean 1 soda and 1 root beer. How's Meg?
Oh, she's fine. We're going up to her apartment a little later.
Couldn't Bill come along?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on along. Bill, you get a kick out of it. Thanks, Jim. Thanks.
Oh, come on, Bill. Mary will be jealous.
Well, sure. I know the kids will be there. It's Gene. Well, I don't know. I really shouldn't. Well, okay. Hi, Dad. Hello, Jack. What do you think? Oh, yeah, come on in.
Come on, Bill. Don't stand there. Hi, I'm Meg. This is Bill Harper. He's okay.
Oh.
Well, if you say so, it's all right with me.
He's all right. Blanche has got herself out of Yanc for him.
Not bad. I didn't think she had that much taste.
She knows what she's doing. She's got Ralph nuts about her, and now she's got her hooks up for this new kid.
Hey, we haven't any more smoke. You better run over and get some.
Why couldn't you find that out when I was here this morning? I've got my car in the shop.
Well, what of it? That kid out there, Jimmy, he's got a car. He'll take you. Come on, get going. Hurry up.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yep.
I've got to run over to Cedar Avenue for a minute. You've got a car, haven't you?
Well, yeah, my sister.
Mind giving me a lift?
Why, sure. Come on.
Okay.
No, thank you. Well, here we are. Oh, thanks.
Oh, May, don't forget me.
I never forget you. Oh, here. If you want a good smoke, try one of these. I thought you were scared. Of course, if you're afraid. That's better. That's more like it. I know you like that. Really, you will. Now just take a puff of it.
And within one day, Bill's car would be filled with Bob Marley 8-tracks and Taco Bell wrappers.
Just be a minute, kid.
Hey, Jack, get me a cigarette before you go, will you? Hello, Jack.
Hi, boss.
How's business?
Getting better every day. Those kids sure go for it.
Swell.
Had to run over for a couple more cartons. Ran short today.
All right. Yanni, have 10 groats for Jack Perry. Who? Pete Daly. All right, send him in. It's all right, stay where you are.
I want to talk to you.
All right, go ahead. Jack's okay. What's the beef?
Listen, you never heard no beef when I had to sell that rotten gin.
You're after the dough, aren't you?
Yeah, but I don't need dough that bad. Taking 2-bit pieces from kids.
There are millions of 2-bit pieces just begging to be taken. Don't be a dope.
I'm just dope enough to draw the line selling hop to kids.
All right, Pete. You know what my policy has always been. The boys are not satisfied. I'm always glad to have them retire. Retire permanently. So long.
I only wish you had a couple of kids so I could.
Yeah!
All right, Jack, pick up your stuff from Danny. I'll be ready by now.
Okay, boss.
Let's go, Jack. I'm red hot.
Better be careful how you drive. The first thing you know, you'll be ice cold. Hold on, you'll kill somebody.
Mary, you're not eating your breakfast again. Bill Hartford hasn't been around lately. Anything wrong between you two?
Why should there be anything wrong?
There shouldn't be, I'm sure. And whatever it is isn't serious, I know.
I'm sorry, Mother, for snapping at you like that.
Don't worry about it, dear. Why don't you speak frankly to Bill? He'll be honest whatever the trouble is. I'm sure Bill Harper never lied about anything.
Yes, that's right. Bill's mother says he never lies.
There, you see?
You think it'd be all right if I speak to him about it?
Why, of course. Oh, Jimmy. Sit down, darling, and I'll have your breakfast for you in a moment.
Jimmy, there's something worrying you.
What have I got to worry about?
Why don't you tell me?
Well, for Pete's sake, don't start to cross-examine me, will you? I'm all right.
Jimmy, don't let Mother see you like that.
There is no doubt that there is an organized gang distributing the narcotic to students, not only in my school, but all over the city. You government men have got to find some way to put an end to it.
Of course, I agree with you, Dr. Carroll. But do you realize
So
that
this is
marijuana
brilliant.
is not
Just
like
as the
other
plot
forms of
starts
dope?
cooking, you put a bunch of
You see, it
boring
grows wild
middle-aged
in
men in
almost
an
every
office and
state
let
in
them
the
start
Union.
talking.
Therefore, there is practically no interstate
Fantastic.
commerce in the drug. As a result, the government's hands are tied. And frankly, the only sure cure is a widespread campaign in education.
Oh, it's all right to talk about education, Mr. Wyatt, but we educators can't do anything until the public is sufficiently aroused.
Let me show you something. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets. All these devoted to marijuana records. Here is an example. A 16-year-old lad apprehended in the act of staging a holdup. 16 years old and a marijuana addict. Here is a most tragic case.
Yes, I remember. Just a young boy. Under the influence of the drug, he killed his entire family with an axe.
Then there is the most vicious type of case. Here, in Michigan, a young girl, 17 years old, a reefer smoker, taken in a raid in the company with 5 young men. Here is a particularly flagrant case.
Yes, I remember. The newspapers made quite a play of it. In West Virginia, wasn't it?
Yes, and there are hundreds of them coming up, new ones every day.
I'd like to take these records, if I may. I feel they would be of invaluable assistance to me in combating the evil in my school.
You're very welcome, Dr. Carroll.
Sit down, Bill. There seems to be something wrong. What is it? You were always a fine student. You always had excellent grades.
Well, I guess the work is getting a little harder, Dr. Carroll.
No, it isn't that. Bill, I'd like to help you. But of course I can't unless you let me. You're undermining your health.
Well, there's nothing, Dr. Carroll. Really, there isn't. I'll study harder, honest.
Perhaps unwillingly, acquired a certain harmful habit through association with certain undesirable people. Well?
Oh, no, sir, I haven't, Dr. Carroll. Well, that is, you see, I'm worried about something at home.
All right, my boy. We'll just have to let it go at that. But remember, if you ever want to confide in me, no one will ever be the wiser.
Thank you, Dr. Carroll.
Hello, Mary. You want to play a set?
Thanks, Teddy, but I'm waiting for someone.
Well, if you're waiting for Bill, he hasn't been here for weeks.
Oh, come on, Jimmy, play something hard! Oh!
This now looks like the greatest I Love Lucy episode
I
ever.
think that new kid long to catch on.
Don't take any of them long. Say, don't you ever get fed?
You're feeding me, can't you see? Give me that and a fork, will you?
Get it yourself.
That Ralph has the best sense of humor.
Come on, Bill! Come on! Come on! Come on, Bill! Come on!
Good morning, miss. We're from the police department.
Good morning.
We're tracing a hit-and-run driver. Someone caught the license number at the place of the accident but didn't get it quite right. So we're checking all numbers like it, and yours is one of them.
Well, I'll try to help you.
You remember what you did on the 29th of last month?
That was the day before Mother's birthday. Oh, yes, I remember that because I left school and went directly to the dressmaker's with Mother's. I was there all afternoon.
Did you happen to loan your car to a couple of men?
No, I had the car all afternoon myself.
Well, thanks, miss. Sorry to have troubled you.
Tell me, was the person killed?
Fortunately, he wasn't, but that's still no excuse for hit-and-run driving.
Has Jimmy Lane been here today?
He was in. He went over to May's place.
Hey, it's Gary
You know where
Chandler.
that is.
Well,
The world's oldest,
he
most
was gonna
bitter
wait
soda
for me
jerk.
here, so he didn't give me May's address. Are you sure Jimmy didn't leave any message for me? Mary?
No, he didn't. But I guess you're okay. I'll write it down for you.
Mary, come right in.
Is Jimmy here?
Oh, he's around somewhere. I think he went out to take Agnes home, but he'll be right back. Come in and sit down, Mary. And let me take your coat.
Who's the new kid just came in?
Oh, it's that gal that Ralph's gone overboard for. It's funny, we've never been able to get her up here before.
Hey, scram, will ya?
Smoke, Mary?
Thanks. Are you sure Jimmy will be back soon?
Sure, any minute.
And even though they haven't been created yet, she woke up craving Doritos.
Hey, what's the matter? Am I an orphan?
Where do you put it? You got a hollow leg?
Thank you.
How do you feel, Mary? Oh, Mary, give me a
No!
Mary.
No! No! Please! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Go away! Get away! Leave me alone! Oh, leave me alone!
Everything's all
Leave me alone! Look.
Jack, is she all right?
Hold it.
She's dead.
Yeah.
May, get him some water. Now listen, you two. Why don't you get out of here? Get out of here and forget you're ever in here today. I'll handle this. Now get going. Give it to me. Here.
Harry. Mary. Mary. What happened?
You killed her.
Now it's very important, May, do not put down the glass water pitcher.
Look. After I sprang, you call the cops. And this is your story. Remember it. These two kids came up here for a couple of beers. You're out in the kitchen, you heard the shots. When you got in here, that's what you found. Just stick to that story.
Mary. Mary, speak to me. Mary.
Bill's going the full Jimmy Stewart.
was just talking to a friend of mine. A cop. Sergeant on the homicide squad. Guy he hit that day died.
Died? You didn't.
No. I didn't crack. I'm not going to. Nobody will ever know you were driving that car.
Thanks, Jack.
Just as long as you keep your mouth shut that you're ever up in Nail's apartment.
Why, sure, Jack, sure.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'd like to recall Dr. Alfred Carroll to the stand.
Call Dr. Alfred Carroll to the stand.
Dr. Carroll, as principal of the Lakeside High School, did you, during the last 3 months, notice any changes in the demeanor and attitude of your student, William Harper? Yes, in a number of things. For example, at times disassociation of ideas. In another instance, I happened to attend the recent interscholastic tennis matches. And while Bill Harper had been considered an exceedingly good player, I saw him miss the ball by as much as 3 or 4 feet. This, I understand, could be attributed to the use of marijuana. It causes errors.
Objection, Your Honor.
Space.
The witnesses who qualified to express opinions upon the effects of narcotics.
Sustained. Dr. Carroll has been called merely as a character witness.
Well, then, although you didn't know to your own knowledge that the defendant was using marijuana, did you notice any changes that would lead you to believe, as an educator, that he was under some severe mental strain, which might possibly have been induced by some drug?
Yes, I recall distinctly a few weeks ago. It was during a class of English literature. There was a serious discussion of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, when he suddenly burst into an uncontrollable fit of hysterical laughter.
But by the way, Dr. Carroll, 6 months ago, what would have been your opinion regarding the character of my client?
He was a fine, upstanding American boy, a good scholar, a good athlete, and representative of the caliber of young men we are proud to graduate from our school.
Oh, snap out of it, will you? It's not our fault. Why'd I ever bring him up there anyway? He's just a kid. I can't hang him.
Shut up, shut up!
Why don't you let yourself go? Talk. Go after nuts and have me that way, too. It was his own fault, wasn't it?
Shut up! They've got it hidden now, haven't they? The cops can't find it.
Jack, I want to get out of here.
You're going to stay here as long as we have to keep those two out there.
Science
undercover.
fact. Gauze is completely
Well, the trial's over.
soundproof.
The boss gets a better idea.
They're getting on my nerves.
Can't last much longer. Not worried about her. We got to keep him gagged.
He's about ready to crack.
All you got to do is keep him from having too many reefers.
Any day now, that pump will get hot. He'll probably spill and tell all he knows if he gets a chance.
I don't think he'll get it. I'll see you later.
Where are you going?
I'm going to see the boss.
Hello, Jack.
Hello, boss. What are we going to do about that Wiley guy?
Still jittery, huh?
I don't know what the punk's going to do.
Keep feeding him those hot sticks.
That's what May's been doing. That's no good. I got a hunch that he's due to crack when that Harper verdict comes in. He's on the tee. He's liable to take a powder on us and blow his topper to the DA.
You mean you think we'd all be better off if you never heard the verdict? Well, what are you waiting for?
You, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have a duty to perform, a duty to yourselves and to our community. Mary Lane is dead. The evidence you've heard of this trial could not have failed to convince you of the guilt of the defendant. By his own admission, he pressed the trigger of the weapon that sent lovely and innocent Mary Lane to a tragic and untimely death. We are not so much concerned about the motive behind the deed as to the deed itself. While the defendant has told you that he saw someone attacking Mary Lane, and that his mind went blank from that moment on, the defense has been unable to produce one witness to substantiate that statement. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have heard able men testify at this trial, men who have tried to bring out the fact that the defendant might become momentarily insane when he fired the shot that killed Mary Lane. But the defense has been unable to prove that he was insane. William Harper was sane when he visited the apartment where the tragedy occurred. He was in the habit of visiting the place. He was sane when he went into a bedroom with another young woman. You've all heard what went on in that room. You heard it from the defendant's own lips. Involved as he was in a tawdry love affair, Mary Lane was in the way. She had found him out. In a moment of anger, he deliberately and willfully killed her. If such deeds are permitted to go unpunished, this community would cease to be a decent and safe place for us or our children to live. I do not believe I have to plead or even demand that you bring in a verdict to punish the defendant for the crime that he has committed against society. You are upright citizens. That is why you were chosen to judge another. And as honest, upright citizens, there is only one verdict which you can find, and that is a verdict of guilty.
This court will be adjourned until the jury's verdict is reached.
I suppose you all feel the same about this case.
But he might have been insane when he did it.
No, he wasn't. He knew what he was doing.
Supposing he was insane.
You can never make me believe it nor anybody else. We'll take a first vote. $11 for conviction, 1 for acquittal.
But there's a reasonable doubt about the boy's sanity.
We can't. No doubt about the fact that he murdered her. He admitted it himself. That wasn't the first time he was there. We gotta make an example before boys like that contaminate all of our children. We can't have every murderer hiding behind the gag that he's insane. Sure, they see red before they kill somebody. But whose fault is it? Have you reached a verdict? We have. The defendant will rise. What is your verdict? We find the defendant guilty, discharged.
Stop it!
What's the matter with you? Give me the creeps.
Hey!
What do you want?
Bring me some reefers. They're going to hang you. Blanche, they're going to hang you.
Oh, come on. Get a hold of yourself. Here you are.
Well, quit that crazy laughing.
Where's Jack? I want to get out of here.
They'll pick you up and hang you if you don't pipe down.
I want to see Jack. Jack. I want to see Jack. Jack.
You better quiet him. I can't do anything with him.
I've got to see Jack. We can't let that kid hang.
He'll be here. Don't worry, he'll be here in a little while.
I've got to see him. You've got to see him.
Come on, darling. Everything will be over soon. You want me to play something for you?
Yeah, that's it. Play something.
All right. Come on. Sit down. Honey, come here, smoke, will you?
It's Lady Gaga, the early years. Faster! 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 This is the exact moment the actor realized what happened to his career, right here.
I know what you want. You want to kill me.
You're crazy. Take it easy, kid. I just want to talk to you.
Hurry! There's a terrible fight going on. Yes, yes. Apartment 32.
you don't talk.
No.
Oh, hi, you, Jack. Hurry. Are you ready to tell what you know?
Yeah.
If we can gain some measure of leniency from my client, she is prepared to enter a plea of guilty and, in addition, turn state's evidence in the case of William Harper.
I regret that this court is not prepared to bargain with justice.
I'll tell anyway. I was there. I saw it. I know who killed Mary. And I'll tell you who killed Mary Lane. It wasn't Bill. It was Jack. Jack Perry. He shot Mary and then he put the gun in Bill's hand. We were all at the apartment one afternoon, and Mary came in looking for her brother. Bill and I, we'd been in another room. And Bill came in, he caught Ralph with Mary, and they started to fight. But it was Jack who had the gun. He was going to hit Bill over the head with it to make him stop.
Direction to all the other actors in the scene. Don't say anything.
I saw it. I can see it now. It was horrible. And before he knew it, Mary was dead. But you see, Judge, Bill didn't know he hadn't killed Mary. He was so doped up, they made him think he had. Ralph wanted to tell you, too. Oh, if they'd only let him. But this is the truth, Judge. I'm telling you the truth. After Jack saw the poor thing was dead, he put the gun in Bill's hand. It was Jack's fault. And it was my fault, too. I got all of them to come up to the apartment.
Judge Turtlehead's not buying this, I tell you.
I'm just as much to blame. I am.
Do I understand you wish to plead guilty to a charge of fostering moral delinquency in the case of William Harper?
Yes, I'm guilty. I am.
Prepare a statement for signature, and also an order setting aside the jury's verdict in the case of the people versus William Harper. In the interests of justice, I shall direct a verdict of not guilty. Sign here, please. You shall be brought into court on Thursday, the 17th, when sentence will be pronounced. Meanwhile, you will be held as a material witness in the case of the people versus Ralph Wiley.
Remember when all those things just happened? That was a time. Well-known fact, that scene was not in the script. The actors just really wanted out of this movie.
To what I hope will be the final actions revolving about an unhappy and unfortunate case. One whose horrible tragedy will forever remain with me. I am happy to have been enabled, before it was too late, to order the verdict of the jury in the case of the people versus William Harper to be set aside. But, young man, although this court is convinced that to declare you guilty would have been a gross miscarriage of justice, we cannot condone your acts. And we can express only the hope that your experiences may not alone keep you, but thousands of others from the vicious pitfalls of marijuana. Thus, I am ordering you to remain in this court during the next case, so that you will be obliged to witness what you yourself so narrowly escaped. Call the case of the people versus Ralph Wiley.
Bill.
Your Honor, in this case, the state waives trial of the defendant, Ralph Wiley. It is convinced that he is hopelessly and incurably insane, a condition caused by the drug marijuana to which he was addicted. It is recommended, Your Honor, that the defendant be placed in an institution for the criminally insane for the rest of his natural life. Defendant's counsel joins the state in this request.
Since counsel for the defense, as well as counsel for the state, seem to agree on this, I see no reason why the request should not be granted.
Yes, that happened right here, to your neighbors. It is not too much to say that in your hands lies the possibility of averting other tragedies like it. We must work untiringly so that our children are obliged to know the truth, because it is only through knowledge that we can safely protect them. Failing this, the next tragedy may be that of your daughter, or your son, or yours, or yours, or yours.
So what did we learn here today, folks? Clearly, don't smoke marijuana. Although if you must smoke marijuana, don't go insane. Don't run over old people with your car. Don't jump out of a window. Don't dance real fast. And for God's sakes, don't ever sit alone in a chair and laugh at things that aren't funny. I think we've all learned a lot here tonight, and I've got a very big blunt. So I'm ready to go. Please check out our website, loftcinema.org, to see how you can support the Loft Cinema during our time of closure. Get a gift card, get a membership. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to hit 420 subscribers tonight. So I think we're almost there. So join us next time at the Loft live streaming movie party, where we are going to be watching perhaps the greatest ever teenage caveman rock and roll monster musical ever made, Ega, from 1962, starring Richard Kiel. It's going to be pre-hysterical. Shut up! Shut up! Happy 420.
Thank you.